All right, what's up, guys? I am back with another Bourbon Bums review. Today, I've got Pursuit United, the Oak Collection. This comes from Ryan Cecil and Kenny Coleman, better known as the Pursuit Podcast. And that's a podcast I've been listening to for the better part of almost 5 years now. I remember listening to Carmen DeFalco, a local ESPN 1000 Chicago radio guy, being interviewed by them at the end of 2018, I want to believe. And I started listening to them ever since. If you guys are even a little bit interested in the whiskey and bourbon world, and hopefully you are by watching us and going to Whiskey at Comiskey, Bourbon Pursuit is the best podcast in the game. And with their success, they started their own whiskey line. The Oak Collection is their newest release. They have a Oak Collection rye, and this is the Oak Collection bourbon. It's a blended straight bourbon whiskey finished and toasted in American and French oak. Uh, the blends come from Tennessee, and they make sure they noted it's not Tullahoma, which means it's not Dickel. So Tennessee whiskey, not Dickel. New York Finger Lakes Distillery, and then MGP. Their MGP mash bill blend of 60% corn, 35% rye, and 4% malted barley. So they blend all of those together to make their bourbon, and then they finish them in American and French oak, toasted American and French oak. If you guys remember me talking about the Lucky Sevens holiday toast, it was probably the first video I did during our Christmas series. This is going to be right around a similar thing. I've talked about how much I like toasted products before, the Woodford Double Oaks of the world, the Old Forester 1920s. And this is Ryan and Kenny's uh, foray into toasted products. They said on their podcast, they have a podcast talking about how they got into this specific venture. And they said these days, nowadays in the bourbon world, if you don't have a finished whiskey, you don't have a toasted whiskey, you're not really in the game. Everyone has a finished product, everyone has a toasted product. If you look at the Penelope has their toasted versions of their expressions. um Sagamore double oaked is a double oaked rye that I really like. So they're really just keeping up with the Joneses. And what I like about this, it's 108 proof, 54% alcohol by volume. I like a little bit higher proof stuff. So if I do like a Woodford Double Oak or a Old Forester 1910, where it's usually right around those, 90, 92 proofs, I should like this at 108. And I've had a little bit of this bottle. I've had this for about 3, 4 weeks now. It's opened up a little bit, and I'm excited to share the notes with you guys. It's orange, and then it's like a chocolate spice cake. My mother-in-law makes an awesome spice cake, usually for people's birthdays, and it's a spice cake with chocolate frosting. This is what that reminds me of on the nose. So I've had this before. The first time I had it, immediate thought to my mind, it reminds me of these moon pies, these delicious moon pies. I probably had one of these every day in high school. Um, that's what I get on the mouth. It tastes awesome, and a lot of that times because of the double oak process or the toasted barrel process, you get that chocolate marshmallow note, which I like a lot. And then it finishes, and they note this in their description of it, that it's got like a cherry cola on the palate. I get it more on the finish. So immediately I think moon pie to start off with, and then you wash it down with a cherry coke. And who doesn't like that? Uh, these bottles are currently available in the Chicagoland area at most Binnies. I looked it up right before I started recording here, and they are limited, but they're still available. If you go to binnies.com, you type this in, it'll tell you which stores have them. A lot of them are sold out, but they're still around. My guess is they're not going to last much longer than a couple more months. This released, I want to say released at the beginning of the year. So I was able to find it. It was the last bottle at the Bolingbrook location, but I know Oak Brook has a bunch of them. Lincoln Park has a bunch of them. So you have to pick and choose. And if you're interested in a toasted bourbon, run out and get it. It was $80. I think it's fantastic price point. And cheers to Kenny and Ryan because they really are doing something that I think can be appreciated. One, they started this because of their love of bourbon, their love of whiskey, just like anyone else. And they still have like the consumer mind or the consumer mindset to it. So I know most of their products are very affordable and in the Chicagoland area, readily available. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. If I'm grading it, it's a solid A. Um, I won't go to an A plus, but it's a really solid pour. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the toasted barrel things, toasted barrel whiskeys. So yeah, I'll be bringing this bottle to Whiskey at Comiskey. You'll be able to see it and try it for yourself. But like I said, they might be they might not be around much longer. So if you see one, I highly suggest you buying one. I'll be back next week with another review. I have a couple other things planned, heading back to Jason's house, HBIC's The Bum Cave, and reviewing some of his allocated stuff. So we have more whiskey content in the next upcoming weeks. And for now, I'll say cheers, and we'll see you Monday night on the Bumcast. Thanks, guys.